My $3.2 million house just vanished. No warning, no note, nothing but a pile of splintered wood and broken dreams sitting where my mountain home used to be. And standing there in the dust, with a clipboard and a grin so wide it could split her face, is Margaret White. If you've ever wondered what pure, giddy power looks like, just imagine a woman in a pantsuit bouncing on my demolished driveway like she just unwrapped the best Christmas present of her life. Owen, honey, we had to demolish your property for unpaid fines. You know what I mean? You leave town for 3 days and come back to find your entire life bulldozed, literally. I ask her, wait, what fines? I never got a single notice. She waves some paperwork around like it's gospel, but every bone in my body is screaming that something's off. Then I spot it, a prescription bottle half buried in the rubble. Nothing fancy, just the standard orange kind. Except the label jumps out at me. Michael Thompson, Denver Clinic, anxiety meds, filled 6 months ago. Why would someone hide that in my basement? And why, when Margaret sees it, does her face drain white as the ash blowing across my driveway? I'm standing in disbelief, dust in my throat, the whole scene feeling like a fever dream. 3 days ago, I left for Denver on county business. Now, I'm staring at a demolition crew hauling away what's left of my custom-built mountain home, while Margaret keeps flitting around, high on the scent of victory. Insurance will cover everything. Once you pay those outstanding fines, she chirps, trying to sound official. But the way she's clutching that paperwork, and the way her eyes dart back to the prescription bottle every few seconds, it's clear there's more to this than some overdue fence paint violation. Let me back up a sec. I never signed up for an HOA. I chose this property specifically because it wasn't under anyone's thumb. But Margaret's waving a fat folder of official notices, violation reports, even a demolition authorization. Only, the addresses are all wrong. They've got me living in Sacramento, California. The violations are a joke. Unauthorized fence color, emergency demolition for a structurally unsound house. Except I had an inspection done 3 months back that cleared everything. And the signature on the county letter? Let's just say a third grader with a crayon could have faked it better. She tries to bulldoze over my questions. You can appeal, but you'll need to pay the fines and demo costs. 40 grand. Give or take. For a fence color? Sure, Margaret. At this point, I start recording. The rubble, the crew, Margaret's increasingly twitchy performance. She hates it, starts snapping about private HOA business. But I'm standing on a public street, and last I checked, my property rights don't vanish because someone with a clipboard says so. The crew supervisor, big guy in gloves, comes over looking uncomfortable. Ma'am, we found a lot of personal stuff, family photos, documents, electronics. Are you sure the owner signed off? Margaret's eyes do that little panic dance. Of course, we sent all the notices. The supervisor's face says he isn't buying it, and when he asks me directly, I just shake my head. No idea this was happening. He mutters something about liability and walks off, leaving Margaret to keep up her act. That prescription bottle, though, is burning a hole in my pocket. Margaret keeps eyeing it like it's about to explode. That's medical waste. You need to turn it over for proper disposal. Since when does an HOA president handle medical waste? Something's seriously wrong, and I tell her as much, demanding documentation, asking for every shred of paper she's got. She gets defensive, voice rising and fraying at the edges. You agreed to this when you bought the house. I never did. The deed's clear. This property isn't under any HOA, never has been. Margaret starts packing up, heading to her white sedan. Custom plates that say HOAQEN, if you can believe it, still yelling about additional enforcement action. Like what? You gonna demolish my rental car? She peels away, looking over her shoulder, but I'm already planning my next move. That night, over cheap coffee in my rental, I call my lawyer, a bulldog of a woman who's dealt with property disputes for 20 years. She takes one look at Margaret's documents and laughs. Every single one's a fake. Addresses, citations, even the signatures. She's running a scam, Owen. I almost feel relieved, then angry. My house is gone, and now it's clear this wasn't just incompetence. It's fraud. But what's up with the prescription bottle? I call the Denver Clinic, but hit a HIPAA wall. I explain I found the meds in my house, but the receptionist won't budge. That's when I remember Becky, my forensic accountant friend, queen of tracing dirty money. Let me dig, she says, and in an hour, she calls back. There's no Aspen Peaks Community Association. No business registration. No tax filings. No nothing. Only thing I found is a personal bank account, Margaret White's. 200 grand deposited over 3 years. How many people has she been shaking down? Next thing I know, I'm knocking on doors, talking to neighbors. The elderly lady down the street, let's call her Sunshine, has been paying $50 a month in mandatory HOA fees for years. The veteran next door got hit with fines for parking his truck in the driveway, then for the wrong mailbox, then for having grass that was too long. Single mom 2 doors over breaks down when she shows me a $1,500 bill for her kids' bikes in the backyard. Margaret has been picking off the folks least able to fight back, escalating her demands until they're trapped. And the prescription bottle? The veteran neighbor, after some head scratching, says Michael Thompson might be Margaret's son. Used to be proud of him, a doctor, but then she stopped talking about him 10 years back. Becky, meanwhile, keeps digging, finds Margaret's withdrawals ramping up over time, with big transfers to gambling sites. So it's not just about power. It's about addiction, too. Our little coalition starts forming. Sunshine, the veteran, we call him Sentinel, a handful of others who've had enough. We set up an encrypted group chat, code names and all, sharing everything we've got. Fake fines, payment records, Margaret's harassment patterns. Turns out, Michael Thompson, the name on that prescription bottle, is Margaret's estranged son. He became a doctor, came out as gay, and Margaret couldn't handle it. He changed his name, vanished from her life, but he'd been sneaking back to the neighborhood, using my empty house's basement as a place to crash while working up the nerve to see his mother again. Suddenly, the demolition isn't just about me. Margaret found out he was hiding in my house and decided to level it, cutting off his only safe space. You'd think the story would slow down here, but Margaret doubles down. She launches a digital smear campaign. Fake reviews trashing my business, photoshopped images of me vandalizing property, leaks my info all over HOA forums. My cybersecurity buddy traces it all right back to her house. She spent thousands on this, he tells me, but made the mistake of linking fake profiles to her real email. The evidence piles up, coordinated attacks, a full-blown character assassination. At the same time, Margaret escalates her sabotage. I wake up to my rental car covered in red paint, tires slashed, community destroyer written across the windshield. Utilities disconnected, fake legal notices stuffed in my mailbox, even surprise inspections called in to my rental management company. This isn't just about intimidation. She's desperate to isolate and silence me. But here's the twist. I'm not just some random guy. I'm Owen Hayes, Jefferson County Commissioner. I have direct oversight over exactly these sorts of HOA disputes. I call an emergency community meeting. Invite every neighbor, Margaret included. When I lay out my credentials, her face turns ghost white. Her board members vanish. The room turns against her, and the county attorney announces criminal charges, fraud, impersonation, elder abuse, the whole 9 yards. And just then, Michael walks in, box of old family photos in hand. Mom, I came back because I love you, but what you've done is wrong. The room goes silent as Margaret breaks down. Her son's presence, the evidence of her scams, the pain of her own isolation finally too much. The police take her out in cuffs. Michael and I hug. I'm crying. He's crying. Half the room's crying. The prescription bottle, once a symbol of family pain and broken trust, becomes Exhibit A in a federal case. But it doesn't end there. The story blows up, local, then national news. HOA scam exposes fake authority, family estrangement, addiction, bigotry, you name it. Lawmakers call for HOA reform, advocacy groups offer free legal help, and our neighborhood becomes the model for how to fight back. 6 months later, the trial is a circus. Margaret's lawyers try every trick, blame gambling, mental health, even me for revenge as a county official. But the evidence is bulletproof. Michael testifies about being rejected for his sexuality, how he used my house as a safe haven, how Margaret's control issues metastasized into fraud. Victims tell their stories. Elderly residents choosing between groceries and fake fines, veterans shamed for truck parking, single moms threatened with homelessness over their kids' toys. Guilty on all 47 counts. Margaret gets 8 years in federal prison, banned from any position of authority for life. Michael's there every day, quietly rooting for justice, but still aching for some kind of healing. But you want to know the craziest part? Out of all this wreckage, the community rises. We pool donations, neighbors, strangers, even businesses pitching in. We build a community center on my old lot, with the prescription bottle displayed in the entrance hall as a symbol of truth and second chances. Michael's husband and daughter join the neighborhood. The same people Margaret tried to control are now running volunteer programs, teaching each other how to spot scams, supporting victims, even forgiving Margaret's old accomplices as they pitch in on community service. A couple of years go by. Margaret gets out early on parole, having completed every rehab program thrown at her. Half the community wants her gone, but Michael pushes for restorative justice, accountability, yes, but also a chance for real change. Margaret comes back, humbly volunteering to help elderly neighbors avoid scams, working in the memorial garden where my house used to stand. Her relationship with Michael is cautious, but real. With Emma, Michael's daughter, she's starting to build something she never thought possible. Now, every year, we hold a Truth and Reconciliation Day. Michael gives a speech about family, healing, and the power of truth. Margaret shares her journey from predator to advocate, warning other communities about fake authority. The prescription bottle is now surrounded by children's artwork, flowers, families, sunshine, reminding everyone how far we've come. You know what really gets me? That little bottle started as a secret buried in rubble. Now it's a beacon, a reminder that the smallest things can expose the biggest lies, and that healing is possible even after everything falls apart. So let me leave you with this. What would you do if someone tried to destroy your life, and you had the power to fight back? Would you go for revenge, or would you try to build something better? Let me know in the comments, because these stories don't just belong to me, they belong to all of us. If you've got a take on justice, family, or what makes a real community, drop it below. I'll be reading every word. And hey, keep your eyes open, because sometimes the things you find in the rubble are the keys to rebuilding everything you lost and more.